Dark greetings and welcome to an Astra After Dark's feature presentation, Behind the Bites, interview with the Fangsmith. And now, here is your host, Berinvönn Dærthledd.
Thank you and welcome to the first installment of Behind the Bites, interview with a Fangsmith. Tonight we will be interviewing three gentlemen from different parts of the continental US as well as the vampire community. These interviews were all pre-recorded so that post-production could eliminate anything that might be controversial or exposing. These items were either cut or censored. I would like to thank our guests for participating on the program and taking the time to share something of themselves. Not everyone is willing to do that.
I really don't have time for this shit.
Well, I guess we won't have that person on the show anytime soon. So, with that in mind, let's push a button.
That was easy.
And hear from some awesome people in the community who make our vampire smiles possible. Our first interview for the program is with D. Velmont from California. How we doing?
Hello, Darren.
How we doing tonight?
I'm living, man. I'm living.
Are you living the dream?
Am I living the dream? Not as I want it to be, but everything's a struggle until you get to the top.
So are you living the vampire dream?
Oh, there you go. That's more like it. Oh, I'm living the vampire dream. Wonderful.
So, do you want to say something about yourself? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, a little bit about myself. I'm D. Velmont, as Darren stated. There's more than these sides to me. I'm a very caring guy when it comes down to my friends, family. I'm also a jokester, which I think almost any trait of us could be jokesters too. We're not all morbid, all rip your face off, and I think that's the highlight of it. Whenever somebody or an individual that has something to do with the vampire community can joke around and laugh from time to time.
Right.
Also one that I try not to let other people's negativity get to me, knock me down, and destroy the kind of structure that I also build for myself, around myself. So that way I surround myself with positive people, or try to. Often, people who are negative, I try to stay away from, depending on the negativity force that surrounds them.
Like Darth Vader's force? No? Not quite?
No. Not quite it, but just you meet those people that are just nauseating to be around, everything's horrible.
Wow, okay. Well, let's get into the whole fang making thing. What got you interested in making fangs?
Well, my first pair of fangs that I've ever purchased was from a guy named Vincent Psychic. When I got them, they were just fantastic. They're sharp to the point to where I was just I was very pleased with his work. There's nothing bad to say about it,
Mm-hmm.
So I guess he's the one that got me on the track. And then there was he ended up making me a pair that was just fantastic. Between these two Fangsmiths, oh my God, I can't pick a favorite because they are both very good and naturally good in their own way. Both have different ways of doing things, and I like them both. They both learned how to work with me. So I think those two are who got me into wanting to make things. Because purchasing them were a real bitch, But,
right.
Getting to the point to where you actually make them and that they're your handiwork, it's a very good feeling, especially. But I would say those two were the ones that I really like to base my work off of. Right. They're the ones that I really want, the ones I look up to anyways in Fangsmithing.
Well, with Vincent Psychic, did he was this like a personal appointment? Is he in California?
Oh, he's located in California. I haven't had the opportunity to meet him, and I'm probably I want to meet him to help me create things. I'm willing to pay for the lessons, as well as but unfortunately, his wasn't an appointment where I had to meet him. His was more like both of them were mail order, because of the distance and stuff. What
would you say is the most difficult aspect in making fangs?
From my own experience, is getting the color just right. The shadings are a royal pain.
The tooth shading?
If it's not the shading, if it's not the tooth shading, it's mainly when I get one thing looking fantastic and the other one looks like utter crap, And just to try to get them to look identical is the most difficult thing as a first starting Fangsmith. Like I said, I'm first starting out, and it's very difficult to do that,
Hey, we're going to take a donor break, and we'll be right back. You see? Hey, welcome back to the program. We are talking to D. Valmont, and we are discussing his experiences with fang making. In this case, it's dealing with a mutual friend.
When doing Destiny, just like I said, when I was doing her things, I think I messed up along the way, but it looked so great on the cast. It was like, wow, it looked great. And her teeth are so small, and I'm not used to working with small teeth because I'm like, my chompers are fucking huge. But I was working with hers, and then when I finally seen her, I tried to have them be applied to her, but it couldn't even fit at all. So I was like morally disappointed in that aspect.
Huh. But so how did you go about that? You just basically did she send you the dental mold, or was it like a personal appointment?
Well, it was a personal appointment because I knew she had to get home, and then I knew it had to be a process. And when she was over there, when I just had to get a cast for her teeth so that way she could sit comfortably at home, take care of her kids. And then I could do the Fangsmithing thing, I could start on making the things. So, yeah, like I said, it was quite difficult to do. I perhaps burned through like 3 pairs, trying to get the right ones. And when I finally did, they were just like not what I really expected.
So, not to get too in depth on the tricks of the trade, and I'm sure a lot of fangsmiths out there wouldn't want to talk about how they do things, but can you kind of give me a pointer on how you approach doing the tooth shading?
Oh man, well, how I approach doing the tooth shading is how I would ask certain fangsmiths. I'm not gonna name names, and they've given me great ideas to do one side with the white acrylic, and the other side with the kind of yellowish acrylic, and mix the two and see what you got there and see if you could get it just right.
Was Destiny the first person that you had ever made fangs for other than yourself?
Yes. So, like you said, it's a whole different ballgame whenever you're making things for yourself, because you know the structure of your mouth. But when it comes down to the structure of somebody else's mouth, it's like, whoa, like you don't exactly have an idea of what to do at that point, especially when you're just like, hey, is this pleasing to the customer that I want to please, or is this,
Would you say there's a lot of Fangsmiths in California?
There's quite a few, including Vincent.
Or at least in your area?
I'm pretty sure there's not in my area. My area is just so small, and like I said, I'm more of a local kind of guy. Like I said, my area is small. I don't think there's any Fangsmith, let alone somebody who walks around looking the way I do.
But when it comes to Vincent and Midnight, hopefully I don't slaughter his last name. Ounce? Is that Os?
Oh, Ohas. I always
Ohas?
say Os.
Okay, we'll find out later. Well, we'll start over here. When it comes to the two Fangsmiths that you had gotten fangs from, were they at a fairly decent price?
Oh yes, they were both amazing prices. This is the reason why I often recommend them, because I know how hard it is for other people out there, and fangs go up. I've seen just two of the pair of fangs, two of the traditional fangs. They went up for at least like 195, sometimes higher than that.
That's pretty crazy.
And when I was looking into it, I was like, just for two little guys, and finding out that Vincent had this deal going on where he could send you the whole kit, and not only send you the kit, he had this other plan where he send you the kit and for just $100, send you a kit with two pairs for just $100.
Wow.
And I was like, wow, that's amazing, and he sends you a kit along with it. And that's why I say that they're my two favorites, because they are people, they're for the people,
Right.
They're a people person practically, and they work with your budget. If it's something that they can agree with, like, hey, if it's not too low on their standards, hey, you got two great pairs for $100, so or practically 80,
Oh yeah.
Like I said, they really impressed me with their prices as well.
I'm gonna go ahead and cut it off here. Appreciate you calling in, and
yes.
Let you get back to your evening, and we'll be back for more of our program Behind the Bites. Hey, welcome back to Alaska After Dark. We're speaking to Fangsmith Dietrich Vaughn of Lacrosse Custom Fangs. Is it Dietrich Vaughn? That sounds very German.
Yeah, I am German. What I did basically for it, I use it as a stage name that I use for my business, and then after that, I basically shortened up my last name, because my last name is Vorthman, to be honest, and everything. And then after all that, I shortened it up to, I took the V and the O and the N out of it and cut everything out of the rest, and dropped it down to the Vaughn part. That's where I got Vaughn from. And then I use Dietrich as skeleton key. It's the German word for skeleton key.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. What was I going to say? So, you run Black Cross Custom Fangs?
Yes.
And is that an actual store, or is that like an online store, or?
What I do is basically I go to conventions, or I will do like house calls where I just have people come over and I do them in my Fang lab that I have. And
do you have a website?
Yeah, I have it on. I'm using like social media because I don't really want to pay for marketing that much. And I basically it's going through like Facebook and stuff like that right now.
So how are things? It's in Council Bluffs, Iowa, where you live, correct?
Yeah.
What's the?
It's pretty close to the closest major city to us right now, because it's a small town of about like 35,000, and basically Omaha, Nebraska is the next major city next to us.
That's funny. I was born there. I couldn't tell you anything about it. We left when I was 6 months old, and headed to Alaska. Don't ask me why. That's just the way it happened. But no, I would have gave you like a story about. Oh yeah, they released me from Boys Town, and I ran off to Alaska. It's not true. I'm kidding. Anyway, can you tell me what got you interested in fang making?
Well, basically, I used to make cosplay fangs out of thermal plastic. It's basically a piece of plastic you can just soak in hot water and then mold the fang however you want, and then it just cap them onto the teeth. And then I moved away from that and went to dental acrylic because I wanted something that had better quality than actually where I could drink a cup of coffee with them in, or if I could actually sneeze without them flowing across the room.
Right.
So I got a hold of some people and everything, and then I went through like some online stores and got the equipment that I needed, and then I basically started making them myself. But then I started taking other tips from like other fang makers like Nash, and she's really great. And then I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but
we had that problem earlier.
But basically, he helped me on some smoothing out tips and everything too, and then I just used my hobby and my OCD that I have and just start carving away.
Wow, there you go, huh? OCD and fang making. I wonder if that's like a commonality among fangsmiths. It just doesn't look right. It still doesn't look right. Gotta get it right. Yeah. But back to working with the thermal plastic. Was there a way to actually adjust the tooth shade for thermal plastic?
No, not really. They have like different colors, like some odd colors like yellow and blue, but usually thermal plastic just comes into a very white.
Yeah, I figured that. I've heard all kinds of things about the thermal plastic, how it would stay on and then come off. I've never worked with it.
Like I said before, basically it was you couldn't drink a cup of coffee because that raises the temperature in your mouth and it softens the teeth.
Right.
So then you're talking, moving your tongue, and it's just loosening them up, and that's why I didn't really care for them.
What would you say is the most difficult aspect in making fangs? What's the hardest thing for you when it comes to making fangs?
For me personally, it's mostly for getting the gum line to stick, or not having a weird indent to where the gum line was, and then everything else like that. So I really want to step away from the current acrylic I have and go with a lot more better stuff and everything, but it can get kind of expensive at times too. I'm using some acrylic that's labeled the FX Warehouse. That's where I usually get my stuff through. And after that, I seen some other artists using different types of acrylic, and the one I really like is Lang.
Right.
Lang acrylic. And that's the one I want to do. But if you buy directly from Lang, then it's $160 for 6 bottles. It's a complete set of shade and everything, but when you have bills that need to be paid, priorities come first, like a car payment or a cell phone payment.
Oh, definitely. Definitely.
Fixed Warehouse currently sells their large bottles for $20 a bottle, so it's not that bad.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of your work on vampire selfies. You get many calls?
I mostly get invited to conventions than I rather do have the house calls.
Gotcha.
So probably around conventions, I would probably make close to $600 a day.
Wow. Okay.
For my price, at the time, I was charging $60 a set, $30 a tooth.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Because you can buy the ingredients and everything to make it, but you're going to need skill and talent to make it what it is.
And OCD?
Yeah.
We're going to take a little break, and when we come back, we're going to try to do our best Christopher Walken imitations and add a little bit more cowbell when we return.
Guess what? I got a fever. And the only prescription is more cowbell.
Hey, welcome back to Alaska After Dark special feature Behind the Bites. Let's continue our interview with Dietrich Vaughn.
But basically, I would charge $60 at the convention for a single set, and that's about 8 customers. So that's about an hour's worth of work a piece. So about an average work day, about 8 hours. So it ain't really that bad.
Now, are these like, are they made in a press, or are these hand rolled, or is there just like a certain style that you'll make at a convention?
If it's a difficult tooth, I will take it on, like roll it myself and everything. But usually when you get constant people coming up to you at a convention, be like, hey, what do you do? Can I set up an appointment? And sometimes those people just think you're outrageous for teeth, but it's movie quality work that we're doing. I would just constantly get people to sign up, and during a time, it would take me probably about an hour of average 2 hours if I hand rolled it, and if I used like a dental impression and just build blanks and then take those to the convention.
What would you say is the most interesting request that you've ever received as far as like fangs go?
The strangest request would probably be just a recent one that I had. This guy wanted fangs that would like spear tip, like a needle would be like hollowed out. And I was like, why would you want that? And he's like, so I can feed off my donor and everything. And I was like, dental acrylic is very porous, so bacteria can build up in those if you don't take care of them right. And due to the constant like bacteria in the human mouth, if you bite somebody with those, you're more prone to get a staph infection, and she's more prone to go to the hospital because she's sick. And then he didn't really kind of comprehend that, and he still wanted the spear tip fangs. Spear noodles, sorry. Basically, he wanted to do the fangs and everything, and I just had to flat out tell him no. Like, I will not make him any fangs, because he wouldn't agree to that.
Do you ever kind of give tips or advice on how to take care of the fangs after they're made to the customer?
Yes, I offer them I call it rules of care, and it's just basically a list of do's and don'ts.
Mm-hmm.
And like, some of them were like, I don't brush them with toothpaste with your sink drain open, because I've done plenty of times where I dropped it down the drain and I had to start another tooth.
Yeah, I've done that actually too. I hate to say.
Yeah.
But as soon as
I learned that the hard way. And then other ones where, like, don't leave them soaking in water because mold can grow on them. And then drink like hardcore, like alcohol, like straight whiskey or tequila or something like that. You always want to use a chaser because it will warp the teeth in some way if you're not careful.
Well, that's interesting. Say that I was at an event or something and they're serving alcohol. Is there certain alcohols, maybe like wine, anything like that, I shouldn't drink when I'm wearing my fangs where it would discolor them?
If you have like really white teeth, acrylic starts out the shade you want it, but over time it depends on really your habits, what you drink with them, and like red wine will stain your teeth. So it kind of turned some of my fangs pink because I actually like wine.
That would be quite a sight to see. Personally, I usually take mine out before I eat or drink. I always have that fear that, I'm going to mess them up. One thing I can definitely say, when we were in New Orleans last year, I made the mistake of removing my fangs, and then by the time I was on Bourbon Street, of all places, of course, and by the time I got back to my hotel room, I had lost one of them, and I have no clue where it ended up. That's kind of like a tip to anybody who's listening to this. You don't want to do that. Wait till you get to the room before you take them out. So, because I went back the next day looking on the street. When I got home, I replaced it. It was fine. I had to make a whole new one. But, the next time I'm in New Orleans or anywhere else, I got to make sure I never take them out until I've got a place where I actually can see what I'm doing. In the dark, I was a little too bold, and I took them out and put them away, I thought. But obviously, I mishandled it and lost the tooth. So, that was pretty interesting.
I know some people that it's worked out really well for them, because some of my Fang clients will actually put them in contact lenses, but they don't ever leave their house with them.
Right.
Unless things are in. But me personally, I use a jar, a tiny little vial.
Yeah, I think you showed me that when I was, it was like in the back. You were with Nash, and you were showing me your little jar.
Yeah, that's the one. I use that one, and has like a little press-in, suction cup lid to it. So, and I usually put it in pockets that usually zip up. So I usually never have a problem with that.
Right.
I just make sure that my pocket's secure.
Right. I use the little contact lenses with those got right on one. It's either green or white, and they screw on, so I don't have to worry about it popping open by accident. And they work out pretty well for me, especially when I'm traveling. But how was it working with? Were you actually working with Nash one-on-one before?
I was helping her set up her sterilization kits mostly, and then running back and forth if she needed something, and then just really explaining what fangsmithing was to people.
How did you meet Nash?
I actually met her through Facebook. I was asking around when I first started out for tips, and I learned the hard way that some of them don't do tips and some of them don't like competition.
Oh, yeah.
But our craft is so small, and there's so many things other people can do. I usually can go to tattoo conventions, or I do conventions. That's what I mostly do.
That's
some
awesome.
People throw parties, and some people just go to house calls or open up their own shop. Conventions work out for me. That's what I'm just going to stick to doing.
Well, that's awesome.
That was a side little ramble. Sorry.
No, that's fine.
But basically, got a hold of Nash, and she gave me tips and pointers, and then got a hold of me because Nash invited me to the Fangsmith's resource network that they have. And then I basically had to show my work, that I'm just not some random kid trying to just do crappy work. And some of them were surprised that some of my fangs were turning out pretty great, and I just needed to be guided in the right direction. And Nash have mostly done that, and I am forever thankful for that.
Well, I've seen your work, and it's really awesome, I think. And you did say you have an online page, a web page?
Yes, just Facebook.com, Black Cross Custom Fangs.
Oh, okay. So it's just strictly on Facebook?
Yeah, just strictly on Facebook. I haven't really moved to Twitter or YouTube or anything. I know some of them use YouTube, but I don't really like making videos that much.
Anyway.
Sorry.
Well, I enjoyed interviewing you.
Right.
It was fun. Thank you very much.
Yep, thanks for having me.
Hey, don't go away. We've got one more guest for this installment of Behind the Bites. Hey, welcome back to the show. My last guest for the evening was fairly difficult to acquire since our schedules clashed a bit, but we were able to conduct the interview over the phone from his car. Oh, just to let you know, we were stumbling over the last name. Is it Ose?
It's OC.
Ose. So, had it right, and I didn't. Damn it. We're talking to Midnight OC from Grand Rapids, Michigan. You're owner of Midnight Custom Fangs, is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
I feel like I'm interviewing you like at the cop station or something like that. Let me turn this on. I understand you also work. Do you work in ink as well? Tattoos?
No, I don't actually. I acquire quite a few.
Oh, okay. And you're an actor as well?
I'm an actor at a haunted house.
Oh, okay. Are you the guy that goes, ah?
Pretty much.
Really?
I started back in probably about 2006 doing special effects work behind the scenes. And then the following year I decided to take on acting and just kind of been rolling with that ever since.
Huh. Is that what brought you into making fangs?
It pretty much was because I kind of always had a little bit of an interest in special effects and starting at the haunted house doing arms and legs and appendages and just creepy stuff like masks and whatever. We had gotten a kit at the haunt that I work at, and my boss was like, hey, do you think you'd be able to try your hands at making dental veneers and fangs and stuff like that? And I told him, I said, yeah, sure, no problem, I'll go ahead and give it a try. But he ended up backing out on that and saying that he didn't quite want to do it to someone who was a novice because some of the products were quite expensive and he just didn't want to have me throw away pretty much the product. So what I ended up doing was getting my own kit, setting up my own shop, and basically proving to him that, hey, look, I can do this stuff, and I'm actually halfway decent at it. I'd like to think I am.
Well, I'd say you're way more than halfway decent. You've come up with some really killer stuff that I've seen online.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
I think the most memorable one was there was some guy that was like missing teeth, and you had filled them in with acrylics to kind of complete the set of his mouth.
Yeah, it was actually a person that I know locally. He was kind of falling on hard times, and we kind of did a deal that I would make him all new teeth. So he was missing, I think, probably about 4 teeth, and I took a mold and worked off of the mold and kind of sculpted different things and, kind of worked through it with him to see what would work. And the end result actually was pretty good. There's quite a few people that will, fill in a tooth here. I think I'm going to do a shout out to Tom Misfit. He does quite a bit of work in that from what I've seen. And there's also Ali Fangsmith in New York that does that too.
Huh.
They're the two that I know that have done that type of work.
So how long would you say you've been working doing the fangs, fangsmithing?
It's kind of hard to put a timeline on it, but I want to say probably about 3 years. The first year that I worked on it was pretty much just figuring out how to do it and do it well. Just pretty much worked off of just casts. I started with my own cast, and I started with a little bit of people that I knew, so that I could just test the waters a little bit and figure out the quirks. And then after that, then I started working inside the mouth, off the casts, in my own mouth. And then started working in my girlfriend's mouth, doing her fangs. And then that's pretty much how it just progressed. And then after about a year of just doing that, then I started actually, taking on other people that said, hey, make a pair for me. And it's pretty much just how it started.
Did you have any like influences or mentors within the vampire community?
Not so much within the vampire community. There was Nash has always been someone who has been kind of on my team a little bit, I guess you could say, helping me out and helping me through some of the process, and not necessarily just giving me instructions, but helping me figure out some of the questions that I needed answered. Because I don't really, I get asked a lot, how to do things and how to do this and how to do that. And honestly, it's pretty much goes like this. If you can't figure out how to do it a little bit on your own, probably shouldn't be doing it. There is certain ways to do it, and I would rather tell people the correct way to do it that I think is correct, just so they don't go out there and harm people. But Nash was the biggest one. I tried to talk to a couple people, and I mean, I understand it now, but it's not a very open community of, you know, giving you instructions or, you know, walkthrough or anything like that.
It's kind of like they kind of keep it to themselves. Fangsmiths kind of like learn on their own. Would you agree that would be the case?
Yeah, I think in certain circles, you know, it is. You know, for me, because I live in Michigan, I'm not in New York, I'm not in New Orleans, I'm not in California or, you know, Mexico, or where some of the bigger name people are, like Caballero and, you know, Todd and things like that. You know, Vincent back in the day, I guess he used to actually, Father V, Lord Father Vincent, used to teach people, and I think there was a couple people like Sinner and JP Navas and some other people that were taught and brought up in those ranks. But as far as me, I mean, I just kind of had to, you know, go by the seat of my pants and just pretty much float and figure out how to do it on my own.
Well, all right. We're going to take a little snack break, and when we get back, we will continue our interview with Midnight OC. Good eats, good eats. Hey, welcome back to the show. Give me a second here. I just got to finish up on what I'm doing. Oh, there we go. There we go. Yep. I had to take care of the you know. Once in a while you gotta do stuff like that. Anyway, I think it's about time we get back to our guest. No way, you didn't just cut that person up. What would you say is the most difficult aspect in making fangs?
In making fangs, I would have to say the biggest thing is mail order. Mail order has always been a pain for me. Most definitely, if I can meet you in person, I prefer working in the mouth. Usually what I'll do is I'll use a cast before something on the cast, then what they call or they refer to as a real-line on the teeth. Doing that, I feel like offers the best fit because I can feel inside your mouth. You can give me, you know, a little bit of feedback on how it feels. But when you just get a cast in the mail, and then you're just holding the teeth, you know, you're dealing with many factors of, you know, is the cast right? Did it shrink? Did it, you know, any different possible variables along the line, and you know, just the smallest thing can make a fang not fit. And it's just, you know, mail order is kind of impersonal too, because you just don't have that person in front of you. Can't have that dialogue, you know, when the person's there. But you know, each person is different. Each mouth is different. No two mouths are anywhere near the same. So I mean, each mouth is in of itself a challenge. It's something new almost every time. And I mean, we do have a little bit of the system, I want to say, just to, you know, streamline the process a little bit to make it a little bit easier.
Which would you rather? Would you rather set up shop or do conventions when it came to making fangs? Because
yeah, I would say, you know, doing it in person. Anyway, really, never really done a convention. That's not really my thing. I don't know, because I feel a little bit too rushed. You know, I know there's quite a few people out there that are good at what they do, and they're fast at what they do, and they can, you know, flip them out, and, you know, they just have the rate of, oh, I can do a pair in an hour or an hour and a half. I'd like to say that I can do a pair in an hour and a half. Usually I can do it in about an hour. But like I said, every mouth is different, so there's challenges that come along with that. So yeah, I mean, I like to do it in person. So that's what I usually do is I have people come to my house. It's much more personable. You can talk to them, relax them, ask them if they, want anything, like a tea or something like that, and then you almost become their friend in a way, and not just, you're providing a service for them.
Awesome. I haven't even tried mail order yet, and I don't plan on trying mail order. Mine's strictly going to be in-home or within town for the things that I'm working on. What would you say is the most off the wall or interesting request that you've ever gotten?
I did have one request from a friend that still is kind of in limbo because we work opposite schedules, and he lives probably about 40 miles from me, and don't really get to see each other that much. But he wants tusks, but he wants super big tusks, like almost 4-inch, 5-inch long tusks, and that's probably about the biggest off the wall. I mean, most people that I run into and I encounter, they like to stick with realistic, which is kind of what I like. I like making them try to color match, which is, again, easier to do in person. You can take so many pictures, through mail order, and even, if you send chips or color codes, that can even get a little bit skewed. But, yeah, I'd say that's probably about the biggest one that I've done, that I've talked about doing. But then the other one that we talked about earlier with the whole veneer of the missing teeth, that was probably the craziest one that I've actually done.
How much acrylic would you say would require to make tusks that you just described?
Oh, man. Tusks that big would take quite a bit of acrylic. I mean, I can't really put into a picture, what he described to me, but I mean, just think about almost, the length of your thumb plus half. That's quite a bit of acrylic, and especially if you're doing two, and then you gotta do like some type of attachment mechanism plus teeth in between to kind of hold it in. That's quite a bit of acrylic. We wanted to do lowers, more like a troll, I guess you could say. But yeah, I mean, there's different ways you can go about it. Of just locking it onto the canine plus the tooth behind it, or vice versa. I've seen it done many different ways.
When it comes to a person just starting out, do you have any pointers or?
Don't do it. No, I'm just joking. The biggest thing that I would have to say is, do ask some of the people. You're gonna get someone who's gonna say something to you, and be genuine with it. Don't try to. I think a lot of them will think that you're trying to step on toes, and I felt that way when I first started. A lot of people would just kind of give me the cold shoulder just because they didn't want to help. But ask questions. That's okay. If they tell you to screw off, then that's not the person to talk to. But don't work in the mouth to start. I think that's kind of a bad idea. If you just go for the goat and just start inside the mouth, there's a lot of bad things that can go wrong if you don't understand exactly how things work. Work off of the cast like I did. I'm not saying that's the only way to do it, but I'm saying that's the most safest way to do it. But try to stay out of the politics. There's a lot of politics that happen inside the vampire community, as a lot of people know already, I'm sure, but even more so with the fangsmithing community. A lot of the times we're pretty easygoing, but there are a few out there that will make it known that they don't like certain people and they don't want to be associated with certain people, kind of thing. So I mean, just find your niche and do your own thing.
Would you say patience is a must?
Patience is definitely a must. If you're one of those people that just need to have satisfaction now, unless you're that type of person that just gets it and it clicks, that fast, patience is definitely something you need with this. I'm always running into different things that I'm like, oh man, I thought I had it, but things always arise and things change and products change, and you can't get this product that you used to be able to get, and then even laws change. A lot of us are writing that gray area of special effects and dentistry. We're providing a service that we're doing it in a special effects area. We're not, it's not a dental device. And that's, I mean, a lot of us have waivers drawn up and things like that. It's just definitely figure out as much as you can. If you're genuinely interested, do law searching. Even if you need to hire a lawyer just to figure out exactly what's going on. When I first started out, I talked to my dentist, and my dentist was actually really cool with it. And I almost made a set for his chairside assistant at one point in time, but that never ended up happening.
When it comes to pricing, would you say that a lot of the prices that Fangsmiths are charging go a little overboard?
That's a difficult question.
Is that a no comment?
I mean, to each their own. I think there's some people out there that, I've seen it in certain places. I'm not going to name names, but as much as $320 a set just for 2 teeth, which I just find outrageous.
Are those the ones with the gold inlay and the explosive tips?
No, this is just the same as,
must have been somebody else I was thinking of. Never mind.
If you're traveling, definitely there's expenses that come along with that. You gotta find a room. Usually you're doing it in a room, or you're doing it at an event. You're traveling cross country. You gotta pay for tickets. You gotta book sales. You gotta do pre-orders. You gotta do deposits, things like that. I understand that. I'm at $75 per pair right now. Especially in person, I feel that's fair enough. And people, I used to be at $50, but then Halloween rolled around this past year, and I got screwed out of so much stuff, and I should have done deposits. And, I was kicking myself in the butt for not doing certain things. But each person has their own price that they stick with, and I think it goes depending on experience, and it goes depending on how good their quality of the product is. I really can't comment on if I think it's too high, if I think it's too low. Each their own.
What would you say is too low?
I've had people offer me like $25. I've had people offer me a case of beer, pack of cigarettes, things like that. That stuff I won't do. I've done barter in the past. I'm not gonna lie. We all do that kind of stuff to get by, I guess. But it's got to be something of substantial value. I won't go any lower than, $50 a pair.
That could be a cutoff for those starting out. Well, was there anything else you wanted to add? Midnight?
Not really. I just
you got to get back inside.
Give me this opportunity to kind of, just say my piece on it.
Okay. Appreciate it.
Yep, take it easy, man.
Thanks. Well, that's all the time we have for this installment. Again, I'd like to thank our guests for participating on the program and taking the time to share something of themselves. Don't forget to tune in again for our next installment of Behind the Bites on Alaska After Dark.